Hello again, everyone. Edwin Learnard back once again. In this YouTube astrological segment, I'm going to be talking about Aquarius and life, and yes, this does apply and pertain to the Sun, Moon, and Ascendant. Anyway, well, first off, as far as Aquarius goes in life, I mean, they will often live their life with a lot of freedom and independence. They often have live and let live philosophy. They could be very non-conforming and doing things that might be unorthodox or do things in an unorthodox manner. They expect to be respected for who they are and not be judged. But the problem is, during their life, they may be, because whether it might be idiosyncratic behavior or it could be just the unusual manner in general. Uh, I had a friend of mine that has Aquarius rising, and some of you have heard about this through other videos that I made. But anyway, he one time, instead of taking the conventional route into a parking lot, going through the actual driveway, he drove up a grass hill and surprised the heck out of me. And I said, well, okay, but it shouldn't really surprise me, given that he does have Aquarius rising. I mean, these are the people during their life that will often do things that others are afraid of doing. Aquarius, to me, in a lot of instances, is almost like it's like Aries, but with great, but doing things with the unusual, or the things that would never be attempted by others. It's almost like Aries energy, but more uniqueness in connection with it. And Aquarius will often do things during their life that others wouldn't even contemplate or ponder. Take, for example, I don't know if I'm saying his name right, Nick Wolenda. He was somebody that he's an Aquarius sun, and he was the first person, my understanding, to tightrope the Grand Canyon without netting, if I'm not mistaken. I think that's who, but he did. That gave him renown. And uh, I mean, you have people. Another example, Evil Knievel. Remember the Daredevil stunts man? He has Aquarius rising, and he did many, I guess you could call, death-defying feats, jumping over things and doing things that may have put his life in danger. And Aquarius will often be the ones that will do these things that other people may have an aversion to, or just overly cautious and don't want to. I don't know if it's because other people are overly cautious compared to Aquarius thing. A lot of people may be, but what it is that other people would just simply not contemplate doing, because in many instances they can be things that might endanger their life, and it's just something that they would not really care to do. But at the same time, when you look at Aquarius, another thing about them, they may spend a lot of their life giving to others selflessly. Now, if I'm not mistaken, okay, the former NFL quarterback, Steve McNair, had an Aquarius sun, and I believe he did something showed a lot of humanitarian energy. If I'm not mistaken, did something for the post Hurricane Katrina catastrophe, and he had done, I believe he'd done some work and helped some people out, and showed a lot of humanitarian energy in doing so. And the thing about it is, yes, many of you that follow the NFL understand that the circumstances at Steve McNair's time of death were certainly not far from auspicious, but it doesn't take away the good that he did during his life. And he did play. He was a NFL quarterback, and I believe he did play with a lot of injuries as well. That he was more, and that tells me he was the kind of player. He was like almost like the consummate, team player. He would play it with these injuries, and put it in and take the chance on him exacerbating those injuries for the betterment of the team. And that really, to me, epitomizes Aquarius energy big time. Now, and also too, the thing about Aquarius, during the course of their life, are very progressive often, and they will focus on the future in many instances, on the future in their life, not lament over the past. I mean, you talk about the zodiac signs, Cancer and Taurus. Those signs will often be just the opposite and be lamenting, ruminating over past wrongs, grievances, things that took place in the past that hurt them. They will often brood over that for an indefinite period. Where Aquarius, it's not like Aquarius never is going to have any, vengeful thoughts or think about, what somebody did to hurt them previously, but they are very futuristic and future oriented, and they may end a connection with somebody if they did them wrong, but they're generally, I don't see them lamenting over a negative situation with that person for a prolonged period. They will maybe just forget about the person and just move forward and not hold a lot of anger toward that person that actually hurt them. Now, the thing is, too, keep in mind that Aquarius may also spend their life being revolutionaries. And the thing about it is, some of you, I mean, a lot of you, I'm sure heard of NBA legend, former professional basketball player, NBA legend Michael Jordan, who's an Aquarius sun, and he perhaps revolutionized the game of basketball more than anybody else in history. And Aquarius is often ahead of their own time in whatever it is they're doing. And Michael Jordan, I mean, you took a lot of ingenious moves to the basket. He was very head and shoulders above a lot of players, and a lot of the other NBA players looked like mere mortals in contrast to even another NBA legend, Larry Bird, had stated about Michael Jordan, something about him, I don't remember his exact words, but referring to Michael Jordan's head and shoulders above us all. But then he said Magic was the best player he had ever seen. So I think what Larry Bird stated basically in that statement was that Michael Jordan as an individual talent was better than far better than anybody he's seen. But maybe Magic was, as far as the team player, he was the best in making people better around him, the basketball IQ, etc. But anyway, and you talk about another person comes to mind, Babe Ruth, an Aquarius sun. He was a transcendent talent when he played Major League Baseball. He was out homering baseball teams at the time. He took during the time when America was going through the Depression and people were feeling so despondent, he helped revive America in a way, and bolster their spirits in terms of their mood and how they felt. And there are players. That's how Aquarius energy will often manifest as people being ahead of their own time. You take Muhammad Ali, basketball, very prolific former boxer, the late great Muhammad Ali, and many feel that he was the greatest boxer in history. And he had an Aquarius moon, and he was so far ahead of these other boxers that he fought. I mean, he was fighting with dazzling speed and agility, and it just seemed like a lot of these other boxers could not keep up with him. They are just. I mean, he was a fighter that may have been ahead of his time in terms of his ability and his technique. And anyway, there's you look at as far as like the life pattern of Aquarius. Well, keep in mind that Aquarius is ruled by Uranus, and Uranus is the planet that's erratic. The life pattern of Aquarius might be somewhat erratic and sporadic. They might be, the thing that they may be predictable about is being unpredictable, but they still go to the beat of their own drum, and they are a fixed sign. So their schedule, even if it's erratic, it's going to stay there. They're going to make sure that it stays that way if that is the case. Now, the thing about it is, and I remember there's an astrology book I read one time, if I'm not mistaken, and I wish I remembered the name of the book, but it was an interesting statement they made about Aquarius as far as the life pattern of Aquarius goes. Something about where they reach their their pinnacle. They reach their certain point in life where they reach the pinnacle of success at a certain field, and that many may at that point taper off and just leave inexplicably and go on to do something else. It was interesting. You remember, again, going back to the NBA legend Michael Jordan. I think it was 1993, and he had won a third consecutive NBA title with the Chicago Bulls. And he just took off and he retired, and and he was on top of the basketball world. He was right near his prime, I would say, when he retired, and he had a lot more years left, which to me it was very mind-boggling what he did. And the thing, and he played a little bit minor league ball, which he wasn't obviously that successful at. And then he returned to the NBA in 1995, I believe. So the thing about it is that I think a lot of this just has to do simply with the unpredictable Aquarius energy, that they will often do things at the time that you don't really anticipate they would be doing. And the thing about it is, too, is that when you look at they they are just ones that, and another thing too about Aquarius as far as the life goes, that they may be, I mean, Aquarius being ruled by Uranus is about electricity. Aquarius is the zodiac sign associated with electricity, and Aquarius has to be careful because they would have a greater propensity, I would say, to die of, electrocution, lightning. Interesting that a friend of mine, that same Aquarius rising person I told you about, drove up the grass hill to get into a parking lot one time, that he claimed he was hit by lightning at least 2 times, if not 3. I don't remember if he said 2 or 3. He said he survived. I mean, of course he did. That's why he was talking to me, obviously. But the thing is, I mean, I'm a little skeptical about 2 or 3 times. He might have gotten hit 1 time. But it doesn't shock me, no pun intended, of course, but that he would state this, and coming from an Aquarius Ascendant person, it would be more plausible to think that it could have happened to him than somebody else on average. So, but anyway, um, people, that'll conclude this YouTube astrological segment. Until next time, people, Edwin Learnard saying stay well.